Isang mapagpalayang gabi ho sa ating lahat, mga kaibigan. Ito po ang Kawal ng Demokrasya, Kawal ni Carbonero. Ano pat sang-ayon po doon sa aking binitawan topic ng isang gabi, hinggil po sa offer ng mga Marcoses ng panahon ni Cory Aquino na hahatian nila ang gobyerno ng kanilang Yaman. At ito po ay ating pong sinususugan sapagkat hinanap ko ang isang kaibigang abogado na nagpakadalubhasa pa sa kanyang practice, mga kaibigan, bilang isang gobernador, dating assemblyman, dating commissioner ng Bureau of Immigration, at batikang manunulat at kapwa po natin mandirigma para po sa demokrasya ng bansa. Walang iba kundi si Attorney Umubono Adasa. Bibigyan po muna natin siya ng pagkakataon na bumati po sa inyo sapagkat ang layo po na aking binahe ngayon at ang kapal ng traffic. Umuulan pa naman. Makuha ko lamang po itong material na ito na diretso manggagaling po sa kanya sapagkat gusto po natin iparamdam sa ating mga nakikinig na talaga po naman nagsasaliksik tayo at hindi po natin inaako ang kaalaman sa lahat po ng ating pinahahayag dito sa Kawal ng Demokrasya Media Crusade. Mga kaibigan, ang susunod na boses na inyo po maririnig ay walang iba kundi galing kay Attorney Umubono Adasa, author of 30 books.
Kawaldi, maraming salamat sa opportunity na ito upang matalakay talaga natin itong subject na sinasabi mo. Kasi noong araw, ang mga kasamahan ko ay si Vice President Doyle Laurel. No? Si Vice President Doyle Laurel, maraming ginawa para ni President Corazon Aquino sa mga panahon yun. At isang ginawa niya, yung pagpunta sa Makiki Heights, Hawaii, where Marcos was exiled, no? With his family. So, mas magandang talakayin natin itong subject na ito upang malaman sa buong katauhan ng Pilipinas. So, you have to pardon my Taglish, and sometimes there's a mixture of Cebuano Visayan because my principal language really, when I was young, is English and Cebuano Visayan.
Lalo tingin sa mga pagtatalumpati ninyo habang kayo nagkakampanya bilang isang successful politician dyan po sa Mindanao. Mukhang Bisaya po ang inyong lingwahe doon sa kampanya.
Yeah, totoo. Cebuano Visayan. Kasi ang Cebuano Visayan is lingua franca in Mindanao. Sa karamihan diyan, maski mga Muslim, marunong sa Cebuano. Pati mga Chabacano doon sa Zamboanga, marunong rin ng Cebuano. Almost the whole population of Mindanao speaks Cebuano as the language of communication.
Okay. Ako po naman natutuwa sapagkat nung tayo nagkasama sa Kalibo, Aklan, hindi lamang English ang ating pong ginagamit na medium, kundi Tagalog. Bagamat napakarami pong Bisaya doon, specifically mga Ilonggo. Ganun pa man, alam ko na yung pong pinanggalingan ninyo na kung saan kayo po ay gobernador at naging assemblyman ay more on Cebuano Visayan type than Ilonggo. Pupunta na po tayo dun sa lingwahe o dialect na maintindihan po ng lahat na nakikinig sa Kawal ng Demokrasya sa mambarte dito po sa mundo. Meron po tayong tagapakinig, lalo tigit yung mga Pilipinong nasa ibang bansa. Maraming salamat po sa inyong mga comments. Maraming salamat po sa pagpapakalat ninyo ng kampanya na mag-subscribe at manood dito po sa ating programang Kawal ng Demokrasya. Yan po nagbibigay inspirasyon sa atin at dahil po dito ating pong tinahak ang napakalakas na ulan makarating lamang po dito sa tanggapan ni Attorney Umubono Adasa somewhere in Quezon City. For security reason, hindi ko na po sasabihin ko saan ito sapagkat medyo sanay na po kaming hinahunting-hunting at pinapakain ng death threats halos araw-araw ng araw. Ngayon, ganun pa man, doon na po tayo diretso sa aking topic na isang gabi na nagkaroon ng offer mula po sa MARCOS camp na inilahad po nila sa PCGG at kay President Cory Aquino ang hatian hinggil po sa Yaman na pinagtatalunan diyan po sa mga korte at sa PCGG at kung magkano ang handang ibigay ng mga Marcoses sa Panguluhan o sa gobyerno. Ito po ay liliwanagin sa atin buo uninterrupted ni Atty. Homopono Adasa.
Alam mo, Kawalde, nung araw, ang unang tao talaga na pumunta sa Makiki Heights habang exile ang pamilya ni Presidente Marcos doon sa Hawaii ay si Vice President Doy Laurel na may permission kay President Aquino. So pinuntahan ni Doy si President Marcos doon sa Makiki Heights at nag-usap sila. Ang proposal ni Presidente Marcos, hindi half and half. Ang sabi ni Presidente Marcos, sabihin mo kay Presidente Aquino ngayon na 90% of the Marcos wealth will go to the people. Ang matira lang sa pamilya ni Marcos, 10%. Yun lang. Yun ang agreement nila Doy Laurel at kay Presidente Marcos. Nang bumalik si Vice President Doy Laurel dito sa Maynila, umiba ang paningin ng pamilya ni Corazon Aquino, ni President Corazon Aquino. Ayaw nilang ganun arrangement. Mukhang iba ang naisipan nila. So, may pumunta doon sa Makiki Heights, sabi ni Doy, si dating Member of Parliament kung sumulong. Dating congressman rin.
Yung kamag-anak ni Cory.
Oh, hindi. Kung na hindi lang kamag-anak, the uncle of Cory. At ang isa pa, my fellow member of parliament, si Ding Tanuatco, cousin ni Cory. So, punta sila doon. Mukhang iba ang kanilang sinasabi doon kay Presidente Marcos at hindi pumayag si Presidente Marcos. Yung half and half sinasabi mo. Kung half and half, sabi niya, forget it. It's 90-10. 90 for the Filipino people and only 10% for the Marcos family. So, nagkataon yun na ang kaibigan ko si Mayor Boy Asistio. Sinabi ni kaibigan ko Boy Asistio, Mayor Boy Asistio ng Caloocan City na pwede bang makipagkita ako ni Mrs. Marcos, First Lady Madam Imelda Romualdez Marcos, doon mission sa kanyang pad sa Pacific Heights, noon doon pa yun sa Ayala. Ngayon, nandoon na sa BCG, sa Taguig. O, nakapikita ko, mga about 4 nights. Pinipresenta ni First Lady Marcos yung very thick na mga dokumento, security sa gold all over the place. So, sabi ni Miss Marcos na pwede ba akong abogado para sa kanila upang mag-negotiate sa PCGG. Ang naisipan nila, ang chairman ng PCGG noong panahon yun ay si Camilo Sabio, Attorney Camilo Sabio. No? At matalik kong kaibigan, basta kaibigan de oro rin si Camilo. Sa fortnight, habang nag-uusap kami tatlo, si First Lady Imelda Marcos, si Mayor Boy Asistio at ako, dumating ito si ngayon Senador Jaime Marcos. At tinanong niya kay Imelda, ano ito? Anong pinag-usapan niyo dito? Ang sagot ni Mrs. Marcos, hindi, normal lang itong pag-usapan. This is friendly conversation. You know, Jaime tapped the table heavily. At sabi niya, hindi, ang pinag-usapan niyo dito ang Marcos Wealth. Marcos Wealth. Panahon ito ni Gloria Macapagal-Arroyo, siyang presidente. No deal with this government. Not in a million years. Not in a million years. And after that, she left. So, tapos, umalis rin ako kasama si Mayor Asistio. At pagdating namin sa baba, sinabi ko, boy, hindi pwede ito. How can I be a lawyer if Jaime Marcos who
The one calling the shots.
is the one calling the shot in against the whole idea. I cannot talk to Milo Sabio in those terms, so forget it. I'm not going to lawyer for her and for them. So nawala ang pagka-lawyer ko sana para sa ni Miss Marcos ang kanyang pamilya. So everything is left at that stage. Ngayon, ang malaking problema natin, si Miss Marcos, si dating President Marcos, nagsabi na there is such a thing as the Marcos wealth. Pero ito namang presidente ngayon, Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr., nagsasabi na there's no such thing. What is he trying to say? Na his parents are liars because wala yung Marcos wealth. Ang totoo, may Marcos wealth. Because Kawaldi, this office is representing several trustees of the late President Marcos. And I have also clients who are not trustees, like the wife of Angel Ferdinand Duque Marcos Jr. It seems to me he is the first junior of Ferdinand Marcos. And he married Marilo Soriano Marcos. And Marilo Soriano Marcos, and Angel, when he was alive, was our clients. Now that Angel is dead, our client remains with Malum Soriano Marcos. You know, Malum Soriano Marcos, he has several documents of deposits all over the world, in almost tens of banks all over the world, deposit in cash and in gold. The problem is, she is not even given an audience by Bongbong Marcos. She wanted to seek an audience with Bongbong Marcos. It seems to me that the president has a the whole idea. Okay, so about 4 months ago, I wrote him a letter.
Who?
The president.
Mm-hmm.
Letter carried by some special people who were campaigning for him. So, and I understand that the wife has been given a copy of the letter. That was July 31. That's about 4 months ago.
In effect, what did that letter contain?
In effect, that letter is contained that it is important for the Marcos government that is in need of money, very much in need of money, not only for the project, but to erase the foreign debt. Thanks to President Duterte, the foreign debt, the national debt is 13.1 trillion. 13.1 trillion. And then, since I did not get any reply, I wrote 2 open letters reiterating the acceptance of his State of the Nation message and his inaugural address that he wants unity and cooperation. I said, yes, I agree with unity and cooperation, and I'm offering this matter of the Marcos wealth and the other wealth in the country to share with the government for the people of this country. You know, Kawaldi, when President Bush was interviewed, when he was still president, as to what is the richest country in the world, he mentioned without hesitation the Republic of the Philippines. This is the richest country in the world, and why is the president going all over the world asking for investments, asking for loans?
Not only that, coming up with this idea of the Maharlika Wealth Fund.
You know, if the late great comedian were alive, he would have said, that's a lot of nonsense. Why should they be creating a Maharlika fund and taking the deposits of Filipino citizens in SSS, in the other banking institutions where the Filipinos have deposits, and that will be used as the fund for the Maharlika fund? I was suggesting, and I was talking with someone, somebody came to this office, Kawaldi, saying that she has a deposit in one of the banks in the country, and I cannot mention the bank for security reasons, of $1.3 trillion deposited long before 1986.
Dollars.
1.3 trillion, which is about 60 trillion pesos. The ones who came here, who represented the owner of the account, gave me the several documents, Xerox copies of documents. One is certification of the president and the vice president of that bank that there is such a deposit of 1.3 trillion. Not only that, there's also a bank statement signed by these two people. I was suggesting to the emissary to tell the president that all that is needed by a client is to inquire about the truth or veracity of these documents.
Sino po may-ari ng pera na yun na napakalaki na nakadeposito?
Well, I don't like to mention.
Hindi po Marcos.
Ang may-ari is a lady who was close to President Marcos. Now, I don't know whether the funds really came from President Marcos. Maybe. They did because it was deposited before 1986. Long before 1986. So it's possible that it could be that of President Marcos. It's a matter of evidence, admission of any party. But the people who came here did not say the source of funds. The normal source of funds of the type Kawaldi is Yamashita treasures. Because 1.3 trillion, at the time, some people accused President Marcos of having stolen money from the Filipino people, from the government.
Hunters also.
The national budget of the Philippine government, when I was a member of parliament, is 28, in 1986, 28 billion pesos. The wealth attributable to Marcos all over the world is in billions and trillions. So how could the man have stolen trillions and billions when the budget in 1986, and I remember parliament, is only 28 billion pesos. So there's a lot of nonsense about people saying that Marcos was a thief. Well, Marcos was a thief. They are pointing in the wrong direction. Because how could he have stolen from the Philippine government trillions and billions of dollars?
When the Philippine government didn't have that much.
Had only a budget of 28 billion pesos. So, this emissary who came to me, I went to the manager of a bank with whom I had transactions for about 15 to 20 years. And she was telling me, she'll come back to me. Normally, when I request her, she comes back to me almost immediately. Immediately, meaning the day after. It's been 4 months. I've been calling her. She doesn't even answer my calls. So there is something mysterious here. All the president needs to do is to verify whether the fund exists or not. If the fund exists or not, if the fund exists, the emissary said the depositor is willing to give 50% to the government. How much is 30%? It's 35 trillion pesos. How much is the debt? 13.1. So 35 minus 13.1, that's covered. And he has even 25 trillion more for the projects, to keep for the projects and the government. Why is he traveling all over the world? All he needs to do is verify. That's what we're asking. If it's not true, send these people to jail. And there are so many people of this kind in this country. And it has been there for the last 36 years. As president, he should pay particular attention to this matter. Because that's his number one problem. Why travel all over the world? travel all over the world asking for investments. The last time I saw in the newspapers is Indonesia wanted to invest 8 billion. But until now, nobody has sent a single dollar of Indonesia invested in the Philippines. And not only that, Waldi, I should also mention in there that before, when Arap was president, his boys, headed by his PSG chief, General Joey Kalimlim, dug for Yamashita in a property of my client. So I filed the case against them in the CA5 then, which is RTC now in Quezon City. They lost. They appealed to the Court of Appeals. They also lost. They went to the Supreme Court. They also lost. But my client, no, I cannot dig because their soldiers were around. So how could we do that? Okay, one day, Vice President Laurel called me. Bon, all these things that are said in the newspapers and television about the $50 billion of your client, why don't we talk with Arap and make a proposal? I said, who's your connection? Senator Eva Kalau, because she plays Mahjong in Malacanang. So one day, I was in the office of Vice President Laurel, and he was called by Senator Kalau. I said, well, is Bono there? Because the president is waiting for him in the palace. I said, no, I'm not going to go to the palace. I don't need anything from him. I just want to make a proposal. So sabi niya, okay, in 10 minutes, we'll see whether you can go to a neutral place. And then Eva comes back and said, in the house of Iraq. I said, that's even worse. Why don't we go to the Club Filipino? Let's get a function room there. And a function room was gotten by them. And the four of us, the president with the security outside, and Doyle Laurel, Vice President Doyle, Senator Eva Saraka, and me, talk in the function room. And the president said, what is this all about? So I told him, sabi ni President Terra, I know nothing about this. We better call General Kalimlim, who is outside this room. So Kalimlim was called, and Kalimlim said, you know, Mr. President, you don't have to deal with Governor Adasa because anything that's buried under the earth belongs to the government. I said, General, you're not a lawyer. Speak about military matters, but please don't speak about the law because under Article 438 of the Civil Code, any treasure that is buried or in land that's owned by a private person, that treasure belongs to him. And his only obligation is to pay taxes to the government. So, General Kalimlim left and Arap said, what's your proposal? 50-50. You dig and I watch. And when the gold will be recovered, okay, you get 50% for yourself and the government and 50% my client. Agreed. He agreed. 3 days later, he changed his mind. Because according to Vice President Laurel, malabo daw. Kasi mas malabo. 50-50, malabo ba yan? So later, we learned that ang malabo pala is the generals were telling Vice President Ella, alam mo, Attorney Adasa is the lawyer of RAM, Revolutionaryong Alyansa Makabayan, no? Headed by General Abinina and also the YOU. So sabi niya la, alam mo, Mr. President, they have not surrendered their weapons. RAM and YOU, they are still complete. When Adasa gets his 7.3 billion, because that's his share, $7.3 billion, he will give 100 billion to Abinina, and then the Poliku, and after that they'll succeed. Adasa will get your 25 billion. So the whole thing fell off, and it went down the drain. Okay. Next president, Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. The proposal was fantastic. No 50-50, 90-10.
90 sa kanila.
Sa kanila, and 10 only for my client. I said, we'll wait for the next one. Okay.
What happened with Pinoy?
Pinoy came into the picture and somebody was telling me, you know, the favorite uncle of Pinoy and the favorite cousin are my friends. The person told me, you meet with them in Clark. So I went there to meet with them in Clark.
On what ko ang sumulong?
On the gold, on the 50 billion, which is now worth 150 billion, because the price of gold has increased. You know, when we talk, I said 50-50. He said, okay, agreed 50-50. We'll come back to you in 1 week. This is more than 2,000 weeks, and Pinoy is already dead. They never came back. Because the idea is Pinoy suffered wounds in the 89 coup, and the point to me as one of those responsible for pulling the 89 coup, that's a lot of nonsense.
Being a lawyer of Ram.
I was a lawyer of Ram, but I was in London. I was in London with Doyle Laurel.
Anyway, ano na po ang nangyari dun sa offer ng hatian sa Marcos Wealth? Ito po'y nakikita kong isang mahalagang
No,
angulo
actually,
because of this Maharlika.
I don't know, nothing is happening because in the letter of instruction of President Marcos, you know, he cut corners by offering 90-10. In the letter of instructions, it's 70-30. 70 for the people, 10 for the holder of the account, 10 for the negotiators, and 10% for the lawyers. That's the split. So as of now, if they have to follow the letter of instruction of President Marcos, that's how it goes. But if the source is directly from Yamashita, the offer is 50-50 because it's not traceable to the Marcos wealth. I don't know why he's wondering. He's ill-advised. Ill-advised by, I understand there are 3 institutions who were responsible for his victory in the elections, outsiders. They're not even Filipinos. And of course, it's economic advisors.
Okay, with due respect, Attorney Bono, sa aking pong tingin, ipaliwanag na po natin yung anggulo na yan. Sasamantalahin ko na yung aking pagkakataon na makausap kayo. Ano po ang assessment ninyo dito sa nangyayari sa bansa? Halimbawa, umpisan po natin dun sa pagkakapatay kay Ka-Percy Lapid. Ano po ang inyong pananaw bilang abogado at bilang isang journalist?
Alam mo, why should it be a problem in finding the mastermind of the Lapid? The government has all its facilities. The man in charge of the NBI and other investigative agencies of government is the Secretary of Justice. Now, why can't the Secretary of Justice find out who is this mastermind, except by suggesting that it's Colonel Bantag? And Colonel Bantag also suggests that the mastermind is the Secretary of Justice. Di ba? That's how it goes. It's a continuing debate. Alam mo, if the Secretary of Justice knows his onions, he should be able to find who is the mastermind. The problem now is people are saying that the Secretary of Justice is muddling the issue by pointing to Colonel Bantag because his father or his son is involved in a trillion importation of marijuana. And who is in charge of prosecution? Whoever imports drugs, it's Justice Department, di ba?
Mm-hmm.
The normal thing, if this were a country like Japan, Secretary Rimulya should have resigned, di ba? That's the normal thing to do. But the main problem is, I think, Rimulya does not want to resign. And the President is not in a position to make Rimulya resign because Rimulya must know something also about the President, di ba? It's like that. Alam mo, this is one of the countries in the world where journalists are in peril and it's documented. Why do they have to kill journalists? Why? Just by exposing graft and corruption and malfunctioning of institutions in this country. Why do they say that these journalists are terrorists? And lawyers, some of the lawyers are terrorists also. By God, you know, these people should read books because anti-terrorism on the part of the government, anti-terrorism law has never solved the insurgency problem. Never. Whether it's before Russia, China, Vietnam, Korea, Angola, Algeria, wala. They should use their heads. Sayang naman ang gasta ng Pilipinas para sa mga general sa ngayon at mga kadete ito nung araw ng Philippine Military Academy. They should use their heads. Most of the approaches here have failed in Vietnam in the insurgency problem. They can kill 100 journalists, but will they be able to solve the insurgency problem? No, they're not be able to solve the insurgency problem. As a matter of fact, they are having problems because journalists are getting killed here. You know, the president should be concentrating, not that I know better, but modesty aside, I have read more books than any one of them now. All the members of his cabinet combined on the presidency and on warfare, no? on rebellion, on revolution, on coup d'etat, because I've been reading all my life, and I believe.
Off the shoulder, straight from the shoulder, how do you predict the Marcos presidency?
At the rate he's going, I don't think he will last until the end of his term. Because Duterte was tolerated by the Filipinos. It's about time. I think the Filipinos are waking up. And because of the problems that Marcos himself has created in the country, he has hit the hornet's nest. And it will be an insult to the Filipino intelligence that the country will not be able to pick a leader who can effectively challenge him if he continues to behave in this manner. If he continues to be, imagine, he cannot even name permanent members of the cabinet. Why? According to Henry Kissinger, one of the best secretaries of state in the United States of America, if a man becomes president and he doesn't know how to be president the first day of office, he will never learn at the end of his term. That's the case of Pinoy. That's the case of Cory. That's the case of Erap. That's the case of Duterte. That's now the case of the Marcos. It's also the case of GAB. You've never learned from the first. They have, because problems ossify from the first day of office until the end of your term. If you cannot solve them immediately, they will reach a point where they are really insoluble. Like, look, let's not even talk of this president. Duterte said he will reduce the price to 15 pesos. He never did it. Not even not even in his term. He said he will go to the Scarborough Shoal and plant the Philippine flag. It's all words. He will eliminate the drug problem in 6 months. After that, he said the drug problem cannot be eliminated for even beyond his term. You know, they are all words, because words do not solve problems. It's action that will solve problems. In the words of President Garcia, a president must be deedless in words and wordless in deeds. It's a very clear statement of the President Carlos P. Garcia, the Black Beauty, you know. I like him because Filipino first policy, you know, ideas, and he implemented him. Filipino first policy, James, these times naman.
Meron po isang nakakabagabag na pangyayari na itong nangyayari po sa ating bansa. Kumakailan ay para po nag-anunsyo ang China na hindi na nila papayagan ang ating mga mangingisda sa ating sariling karagatan sa West Philippine Seas. Ito po ba ay narinig ninyo?
Yeah,
Ano po ang inyong reaksyon?
it's the height of incompetence not to be able to put China in place. You know, not verbal, they don't produce results. In the history of the world, not verbal are nothing except when it's being used by a major power. Now, the Philippines is not a major power. It's not even a minor power. Kung bala pa ito, hindi kanyon, hindi Armalite, perdigones lang. Perdigones, it's for small birds. And China is not a small bird. Alam mo, there are things that a president can do. Within the year, if you are a good president, you can challenge him and tell him in his face, if you do not obey the law in the West Philippine Sea, we'll have problems, mutual problems. You threaten me with war, okay, accepted, do it.
Kaya mag-umpisa na sa severance of diplomatic ties.
It would be good to sever diplomatic ties, but more than that, there are things that can be done. Well then, I don't like to say it here, no? Because why should I teach him?
He's not asking for your counsel.
He is not asking for my counsel. And one of these days, if, alam mo, if with the help of divine providence, I will find the missing piece of the jigsaw puzzle, I will reorganize my political party on the national level. Mindanao Alliance was the first political party that was organized in the time Marcos on the regional level because the national leaders were in this state of default. They refused to accept the challenge of Marcos. We accepted. I told them in the conference, okay, you don't like to accept the challenge, I respect your view. I will accept the challenge. I organized Mindanao Alliance. We beat them in our area. They lost in the election, but we lost in the proclamation. Alam mo, in Region 11, Davao, and the Cotabato provinces, out of 11, they lost. But in the proclamation, we lost 0. In Misamis Oriental, in Region 10, that's where our region comes from, Pilais was number 9 in the election. Kanoy was number 1, I was number 2. But in the proclamation, you know, President Marcos, Pilais and Rakisa, we've been talking Malacanang. Money, you were clobbered by Adasa, Yutina, and Kanoy. What happened there? Mr. President, there are only 2 winners. We have to proclaim them if we avoid trouble in the region. Who? Kanoy and Adasa. Okay, proclaim Kanoy. But don't proclaim Adasa. Tabi, Rakisa to borrow the plane of Roquito Blan, fly to Cagayan de Oro to tell me about the bad news. Okay lang yan. They are all dead and we are here, di ba?
Ano po ang tingin ninyo itong nakaraang halalan? Kasi nabasa ko, mayroon nakapending na writ of mandamus case dyan po sa Supreme Court na gusto ng grupo na ito ipag-utos sa COMELEC na ilabas yung records ng nakarang halalan.
Alam mo,
ito po ba ay may pag-asa pang magkaroon ng kaliwanagan?
Kailangan babasahin nila ang kanilang libro ng batas. Because after the election, nung may proclamation na, all problems with respect to the presidential election goes to the Presidential Electoral Tribunal. I don't think the mandamos will go anywhere. No, will not go anywhere. And there is no case in the Presidential Electoral Tribunal. The case of the people is, the case of anyone is with the people. Why? Section 1, Article 2 of the Constitution. The Philippines is a democratic state and Republican state. Sovereignty resides in the people and all government authority emanates from them. Which means that presidents and public officials are, if they cannot understand the provision of the Constitution, are the servants of the people. But here it's the other way around. The people are the servants of the public officials. That's why I remember Dr. Jose Rizal. There are no tyrants when there are no slaves. We continue behaving like slaves. No wonder these tyrants are all over the place. So, it's about time the Filipino people wake up, di ba?
Okay, sa punto pong yan ay nasa inyo po ang pagkakataon na manawagan po kayo sa ating po mga nakikinig na nakaugalian lang makinig dito po sa Kawalan Demokrasya. Attorney Homobono Adasa.
Ang panawagan ko ganito, gamitin natin ang utak. We should be analytical ng mga sinasabi ng public officials. We challenge them publicly in a conversation. Challenge them in a conversation. Hindi tama yung ginagawa nyo. Tayo hindi sunod ng sunod lang tayo. Please, wake up. Ano ba yung wake up ng one?
Gumising kayo.
Gising na.
Bangon na.
Yes. Gising na. Ibon mang may layang lumipad. Kulungin mo ay pumipiglas. Daya, bayan patayang sakdal dilang. Babangon at lalaban din.
At makakaalpas.
At makakaalpas. Pilipinas kung minumutya, pugad ng luhaw, dalita, ating adika, magita kang sandal laya. You know, this was the battle song when we fought President Marcos. May layang lumipad. Kulungin mo ay umiyak, hindi, pumipiglas. Bayan pagayang sakdal nilag.
So, yun po ang inyong mensahe, Attorney Homobono.
That's my message to the Filipino people.
Huwag po tayong tanggap na lamang ng ating pong tadhana sa mga politikong pulpul na ito. Kinakailangan manindigan po tayo, questionin natin, at sila ay kumari, debatihin natin.
Tama. At sa sinasabi ni Speaker Pepito Laurel nung araw, when I filed an impeachment case against Marcos in the Parliament, sabi niya, Bono, you know we will not win because that's a game of numbers. No, Mr. Speaker, it's not only a game of numbers. It's also a game for the fight of the hearts and minds of men. And we will lose the vote, but we will win the argument. And I was correct, sabi ni Speaker Bono, ang kailangan natin ng leader sa bansa, yung may utak sa bayag at may bayag sa utak. Brains in his balls and balls in his brains. Okay. That's why the people should do that. Look for the guy who has brains in his balls and balls in his brains. Like Kawaldi, who has balls in his brains and brains in his balls.
Titignan ko po mamaya. Mga kaibigan, sa puntong yan, tayo po'y nagpapaalam. Maraming salamat po ka Attorney Homobono Adasa. Alam po ninyo, matagal na po akong humahanga dito sa mandirigma, sa larangan po ng ating pong politika. Napakatagal ng panahon. At tayo po'y nagpapasalamat sa pagkakataong ibinigay po sa atin. At sana mapapalawig pa natin usapin na ito sapagkat maraming punto ang aming po na-cover bagamat kulang na po tayo sa oras. Hanggang sa muli, ako po ang Kawalan Demokrasya sa ngalan ni Attorney Homobono Adasa. Ako po si Waldy Carbonell, nagsasabing iniibig namin ang Pilipinas. Allahu Akbar!